I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational, but that just wouldn't be our style.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it.
SportsTownChicago.com. Lombard, part of the Be On Air network and available on the TuneIn app.
Hell yeah.
Broadcast home for your Windy City Bulls and the Chicago Dogs. We're in a league of our own. Now, here's your SportsTownChicago.com scoreboard update.
At 5 o'clock, I'm Thomas Modaff with your SportsTownChicago.com update, powered by the Illinois Media School. If interested in a career in media, go to beonair.com. Derrick Rose, one of the greatest to ever put on a uniform for the city of Chicago, announced his retirement today. Rookie of the Year, three-time All-Star, and the youngest MVP in league history. No talks as of now if he will sign a one-day contract to retire as a Bull. The White Sox closed their series with the Angels today with a 7-0 win and a sweep. History was put on hold for the White Sox, but was made for the Angels, as they now hold their all-time franchise record for losses in a single season. Sox will begin the final series of the year at Detroit, starting at 5:40 tomorrow. Tigers have been the best team in the American League in the second half and are right in the mix for a playoff spot. The Cubs are off today after their 9-6 loss to the Phillies. Nico Horner did homer twice, his first multi-homer game. They've clinched a non-losing season with no playoff appearance for the second year in a row, something they have not done since the early 70s. They'll begin their final series with the Reds tomorrow at home, the last series of the year for the Cubs. After a tough loss in Indy, the 1-2 Bears host the LA Rams at this Sunday at noon at home. Caleb Williams had his best game of his career as a pro so far, passing his first touchdown to fellow rookie Rome Odunze, who had 110 yards on the day. Matt Eberflus was a little critical, saying he's got to have some wisdom there and discernment in terms of when he needs to make those throws. You never want to take away his aggressiveness. He has to be really good with the football. Now, hockey is back in Chicago. They began their preseason play. The Blackhawks did. They lost 4-2 to the Detroit Red Wings. Teuvo Teravainen had a goal in his return to the Blackhawks. They play Detroit again tomorrow. This has been your SportsTownChicago.com update, brought to you by the Illinois Media School. If interested in a career in media, go to beonair.com.
You're listening to Sportstown Chicago with your host, Thomas Modaff. It's showtime, folks.
That's right, Sportstown Chicago. This is Modaff Minute with Thomas Modaff here with you. This is our third show. Thanks so much for being here. We got a lot to talk about, especially a lot of big Chicago sports news, but I wanted to start with some baseball again. I know we normally start the show off with some baseball. We're not really going to be talking about the Cubs, believe it or not. We'll get to some White Sox later. But crazy week, last week of baseball here with the postseason coming up. So we're going to get right down into it. One of the big news that the Mets and the Braves, they are playing each other and they're fighting for that final wild card spot. And the Braves are just a little bit behind. They did win the first game against the Mets. But MLB announced with the hurricane coming through that series is going to go to a doubleheader that's going to be played this upcoming Monday. Now, every game in MLB, the last game is on Sunday, and it's all the same time. But, I mean, you can't control the weather, really. But that's a huge series with big playoff, it really does decide who's going to make that last spot. Either the Mets or the Braves, and the Diamondbacks are kind of in that spot too. But, Braves can overtake the Mets if they win both. So they're going to play. They're going to be the only team playing in the two teams playing in the entire league. On Monday, it's going to be, again, day-night doubleheader, basically to determine a playoff spot for one of those two teams. If, let's say, the Mets sweep the next series and the Braves don't, and they lose all three, then yes, this series won't mean much. But that, as of right now, has incredible playoff implications, and it's just very crazy that it has to happen. I think it's the right choice. We'll go to the Cubs for a sec, and I believe it was 2019 when they had to go to 3 cities in, I believe, 4 days. Just kind of ruined that whole squad. Just too much traveling. So it's smart to, obviously, you want everyone to be safe. That's the entire reason. You don't want anyone getting hurt with the weather. Everyone to be safe, but it's just crazy that's going to be a very important series for both teams. Potentially, probably is going to be. and they're going to have to play it when no one else is playing. So all eyes will be on that series. Obviously, nothing can be done with the weather, but MLB playoffs, man, the postseason is always one of the most fun times in sports, and they're both fighting for a spot. The Mets have kind of been one of the teams of destiny, kind of like the Tigers have been on the American League side. The Braves had a bit of a fall, but they're starting to come back, and the Diamondbacks, as opposed to last year, they've been losing, kind of choking at the end of this year. And the Braves, they kind of matched. Every time the Diamondbacks lost, the Braves won, and they gained 3 games on them. So it's very close, it's very tight, and you just for the game of baseball, obviously, you hope that you have that series mean something on the upcoming Monday when it's just going to be them. Another story: the Oakland A's. It's their last series in Oakland. They had a walk-off win, which was awesome, and just pretty emotional broadcast, and just feeling for the people, the fans of that great organization, and I think maybe modern baseball fans, as in people who've maybe started watching the past 5 to 10 years, might see the Oakland A's as kind of a joke franchise, and in the past couple of years, maybe they have been, but the A's have a storied history in the league, and they've, while they haven't won a World Series since '89, the early 2010s Oakland Athletics teams were one of my favorite teams to watch, especially since the Cubs were so bad. As my AL team, the Athletics were kind of that team that I liked. I mean, I liked their colors. That was really it. But Athletics have a storied history, and it's sad to see that situation kind of play out the way it did. And, they're going to be moving to Vegas. And it's just an unfortunate situation kind of for all the fans in Oakland and their owner who just kind of refused to work something out with the city, and it just things definitely could have been done better for this team, and unfortunately it didn't work out. But we have a final score actually right now. The A's did just win their final game in the Coliseum, 3-2. That's about as just perfect as it can get with your rookie closer, their fireball closer, kind of closing it out there. And I'm sure once I see footage from that, it's going to be amazing. But I saw a clip of a grounds crew member. People were coming up with empty water bottles, and he was shoveling dirt into the water bottle. And again, that's kind of that thing where I was talking about in the first week, a couple of weeks back. It's bigger than sports sometimes, man. Like, obviously, when you're a fan of the team, you're there to watch the team, but it's the whole atmosphere that you go around as well. And Oakland fans, they deserve better. They really did. And it's unfortunate that it's coming out this way, but a nice way to end, I guess, this sad story. But they do win the series against the Rangers. Obviously, it didn't mean anything postseason-wise for them. They were out a long time ago. But again, it's bigger than baseball. It's bigger than standings. That's kind of like what we saw last year with that reverse boycott game that they did, where everyone showed up. It was electric, and Oakland fans always show up, when they need to. Obviously, you look at attendance is down, but I don't think it's because of the team or the fans aren't passionate. It was kind of in response to the owner and to the city not doing all they can to keep that team where it needed to be. So you just hope for the best and wish them the best in Vegas. It's going to be sad that they're not there anymore, but unfortunately, stuff like that does happen. But good on them for winning that last game, and that walk-off win was electric, and it was just cool to see a bunch of fans in the Coliseum again. Last, I want to talk about those Detroit Tigers, who are out of nowhere going to make the postseason. They basically are. They just swept the Rays at home. Again, another franchise where lately it hasn't been great. But I always have a soft spot for Detroit teams. I'm not really sure why. I think I've never really had to worry about Detroit teams. My lifetime, the Lions really haven't been great. Obviously, the Lions are good now. The Tigers were pretty strong again, early 2010s and late 2000s. And with Miguel Cabrera and Alex Avila, all those guys that was in Verlander, and they had that dynamic rotation. But Yeah, they've come out of nowhere with a bunch of guys that, if you're not really paying attention to the game of baseball, you might scratch your head and say, who the heck are these guys, right? Um, they've won 8 of their last 9. They get the White Sox for their last 3 games. Well, again, we'll talk about the White Sox in a bit, but you like to think that they'll win at least 2 out of 3 there, and they'll secure a wild card spot. They had. We'll go back to the Cubs, but they kind of had the same chances the Cubs did. They were in that similar situation, but Tigers were 8 games under 500, I believe, around August. And again, they've been the best team in the second half in the American League, led by Tarek Skubal, who's going to win the AL Cy Young. You look down the baseball reference page, and again, you see these names. You're like, I have no idea who this guy is or this guy or how they're doing this. It really is phenomenal what they've ended up being able to do. And their number 5 leader in wins above replacement is a guy they traded to the Dodgers. And basically, Jack Flaherty, they said, we're not going to really do much this year. Let's try to get what we can. And that's when the Tigers took off. And I've kind of grown into being a fake Tigers fan. I would love for them to do well in the postseason. It would be such a great story, especially Detroit teams. They just seem to battle. And speaking of postseason ball, obviously things aren't set in stone yet. But if the Tigers do make it, it would be them against the Astros. Of course, the Astros, they always seem to come back, and they never seem to go down, right? But it would be them in Houston for the wild card series, which obviously is newer, where 6 teams make the postseason, and there's 3 wild card spots, and the lowest division winner plays the lowest wild card seed, and then the 2 wild card seeds play each other in a 3-game series, all games at home with the team with the better record. As of right now, a couple hours ago, it would be Detroit and Houston, and then it would be Kansas City and Baltimore. Baltimore falling into that wild card spot. The Yankees, again, just kind of took off as well. Guardians would have the 2nd seed, and the Yankees would have the 1st seed. If we go by what's going on today, obviously things can change. I like the Tigers against the Astros. I really do. I think Tarek Skubal wins them a game no matter what. Even if it's a low-scoring game, whatever it ends up being, I think they are able to kind of sneak out of there. And then it would be Cleveland-Detroit, which would be an awesome series, 2 AL Central teams going at it. I think the Orioles got the series against the Royals. Royals have been playing subpar ball lately. And then I do think the Yankees win that. And my heart says that the Tigers beat the Guardians. The Guardians have quietly been one of the better teams in baseball. Jose Ramirez approaching a 40-40 season. My heart again says that Detroit wins the AL. I think the Yankees finally do it. I think they, it's been a while for them, which is wild to say, but I think they make the World Series, to be honest with you. My legitimate pick would be the Yankees. I'd love to see the Tigers do it. I don't know if they can get all the way, but we have seen it done before, and recently too, especially with last year's Diamondbacks and Rangers, both kind of making that crazy run. On the NL side, I particularly don't care because I don't like any of the teams in there, to be honest with you. But I think the Dodgers will win a series. It's just going to be fun to see Ohtani play playoff baseball. It's tough. As much as I hate to say it, I think the Brewers are a pretty complete team and they'll make short work of whoever they play in the wild card series. And they get the Phillies. It's one of those things that I think, as much as I hate to say it, the Brewers could win the NL. If not, you do have a gritty matchup with the Mets and the Padres. If that stays, again, obviously we don't know with that Braves series looming that'll be played on Monday. I'd love to see the Padres kind of get through and make the World Series. I think Tigers-Padres would be the dream World Series matchup. The legitimate one, I think it's going to be Yankees-Brewers. Either way, nobody wins because I don't get my favorite team to win. Anyway, baseball's nuts. I'm just really excited for the postseason to start soon. Love to see the Tigers kind of crawling back, and we'll see what happens with the Mets and the Braves. When we come back, I do want to talk White Sox because, believe it or not, they did avoid some history, and they made the other team they played have some history of their own. Sportstown Chicago, Modaff Minute. Be right back.
Home for sports. SportsTownChicago.com.
Joe's Hot Dogs has been around since 1953, but I promise it's not old news. You don't have to like hot dogs to like Joe's on Plainfield Road in Joliet. Italian beef, hot dogs, shakes, and sides. My family's had a relationship with Joe's Hot Dogs for 3 generations. Golden fries with a tad bit of salt and the perfect amount of crunch come in a bag as big as your hand. And that's just small. For more on the menu, visit joeshotdogsjoliet.com, bringing that classic Chicago flavor to the suburbs. That's Joe's Hot Dogs across from CVS on Plainfield Road in Joliet.
At the football game, Jim shows the telltale signs of being wasted. He starts flexing for the camera. He refers to his muscles as gunboats. He screams, "How's this for a halftime show?" Jim streaks the field.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many to drive. But what if you've had just one too many to drive? Never underestimate just a few. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Ad Council, and this station.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and Windy City News Radio.
The Illinois Center for Broadcasting is now the Illinois Media School. We've been an institution in the Chicagoland area now for 30 years. Because the broadcasting world is always changing, so are we. Not only are we teaching radio and television production, but now you can learn all aspects of the media industry, like web design. You can even specialize in TV or film, sports broadcasting, and even sales. No matter where you are in the Chicagoland area, we have a campus near you. The Illinois Media School. Be on TV, be on radio, beonair.com.
Maybe that was money. Tell me that wasn't money.
Yo, check us out. We are the go-to guys. I'm your boy Space.
I'm your boy MC.
Check us out every Thursday
from 4 to 5 p.m.
We spitting all facts, all sports, all day.
Yes, sir. Who else you going to go to in the clutch?
Lillard, long-range three.
Keeping you up to date with all the latest sports news.
We are
the go-to guys.
Where else you going to get all your sports news from?
You know.
SportsTownChicago.com.
St. Patrick's Day, the only day of the year that it's okay to not boo the Boston Celtics.
I will show you mercy.
SportsTownChicago.com.
They're not going to lose in Chicago. Oh, you're going there. You think they're going to sweep the Angels?
And that Benintendi sends it through the hole, and the Sox take their first lead of the night. On the ground, this could do it. Anderson will walk it over to first, and history will have to wait.
You actually not think, you believe, you know.
Corey Lee sends this one deep to left field, and it is gone! Benintendi with a good rip. This one's going to fall. Ball is grounding third, coming home. White Sox with a win in the 10th. Take that, history. Andrew Benintendi delivers once again.
Baseball finally jumped to the White Sox side. That's a good, I don't know, a good feeling about it. I don't think they're going to lose in Chicago.
Okay, you heard it here first. Isaac Ian says we're sweeping the Angels.
Oh my God, he's done it!
Sportstown Chicago. This is Modaff Minute. Thomas Modaff. Yeah, they did it. They swept. They survived, I guess. The White Sox still have 120 losses. They are not the worst team to ever exist quite yet. Hopefully, if they sweep the Tigers, that would just be, honestly, it's a lost season. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible situation what's happening in the South Side. But if they were to win 6 straight, especially against the Tigers, who are clawing for a playoff spot and who have been the best team in the American League in the past 2 months, it would be unbelievable. And again, even as a Cub fan and more of a Chicago sports fan, I would be so happy for the White Sox. With that being said, Yeah, here they are sitting at 120 losses. And I got to be honest, I tuned in for the first two games. I wasn't able to watch the third game, but it looked like a lot of fun. In that fifth inning, they scored 5 or 7, excuse me. It was such an odd atmosphere, but it was the first game especially. When the Sox went down 2-0 in the seventh, and the Sox had never come back from a 7 or from down at all, being in the seventh inning this season. It was the fans were happy. It was odd. It was the Angels, they got a homer to go up 2-0, and it seemed like the crowd wanted it, and I have some Sox fan friends who want this, who say, screw it. They deserve it. That's like the fans don't deserve it, but the ownership and how the management, it's just something that they deserve just based on how things have gone there. But what a crazy way to kind of keep it alive. And the Angels, on the other hand, a team that they've only lost 96 compared to the White Sox 120, but that loss actually put them in their franchise worst season ever in terms of losses. So it was a battle for the worst, I guess. There at I don't even know what Sox Park is called anymore. It's not Guaranteed Rate anymore, is it? It might be. Either way, personally, I hope the Sox can do it. I really don't think they're going to. The fans and some fans that I've talked to and fans around the league, and even baseball fans in general, it's obviously, it's fun to poke at the terrible teams, but this is an all-time horrendous, experiment that I don't think, especially fans on the South Side, don't deserve at this point. I don't think anyone deserves a season like this. I'd be numb if the Cubs went this way, but it gives them something to cheer about at least a little bit. And the biggest thing too, again, when I said that the fans don't deserve it, when I watched the White Sox play the Astros in the ALDS in 2021, the game where they came back and won Game 3, I have never seen, at least in the past 10 years or so, obviously with maybe Wrigley and I would even argue, the Diamondbacks last year in terms of their crowd size and just how excited the crowd was. But that group, group of fans that were at that game, it was just unbelievable when Sosa hit that homer, and just my gosh, it just blew up. And I hope that the Sox can figure something out. It's not going to be next season. It might not even be 2 seasons from now. But there's got to be some changes, and it might be an ownership change. And we know Mr. Reinsdorf. It's tough to kind of get him to do anything with that kind of power, I guess, to sell the team. I doubt he will. But what do these 3 wins really mean for the White Sox? Well, in the long term, I don't think they mean much, obviously. But as I'd mentioned before, I think it was just fun for the White Sox to have that at home too, and just an odd atmosphere at the ballpark watching the games. I was sitting there kind of recording a bunch of sound clips I wanted to use for that intro, and just Schifrin, he does get excited for a team that isn't great, and that's got to be really, really, really hard to do. Is it artificial? I don't know. We don't want to get into that, but he's got to build something, right? And people are watching, and you might as well make it fun, right? But that also begs the question. I'd mentioned the 2021 White Sox and even the 2020 White Sox, who made the playoffs in that COVID-shortened season. How did this happen? Obviously, there was some regression. Was the biggest thing with their players. You had Jose Abreu was just getting a little old, and he was obviously the kind of that cornerstone of the White Sox franchise for such a long time, and he kind of lost his mojo again. I believe he's 36 now. Luis Robert Jr. just past couple seasons hasn't been great, and it's been injuries. I mean, injuries has been the giant story for the White Sox with Eloy Jimenez terrible just history with injuries, and Moncada as well. But Jimenez obviously is gone. He's on the Orioles, and he was demoted actually to AAA. But guys just couldn't stay healthy, and people who were supposed to kind of pick up the slack just didn't. And this season, I think everything just went wrong for the White Sox when they signed that deal with Benintendi, their biggest in franchise history. Is that a guy you give that much money to? Well, you thought it was, and he's been fairly decent for the White Sox as of late. All season, I wouldn't say so. Lenin Sosa, who knows what he does in the future, but he's been on a tear. You have Crochet. You have these little pieces, right? And unfortunately, the reports have been out that the White Sox will decrease payroll next year in this just absolutely terrible gut punch season. Can they make any type of change? Obviously, I don't think Grady Sizemore is the manager at the end of the year. I don't know who you grab to be the manager of this team. It's, on one hand, it might be very kind of enticing to be like, oh, I want to be the guy that, saves the White Sox, right? But at the end of the day, you got to make the right baseball decision, obviously. Grifol, I think they didn't pull the trigger fast enough for him, and I think that was an interesting move. And Chris Getz, who knows what he's doing. To his credit, he has kind of bolstered that farm system up. And speaking of farm system, the Birmingham Barons did win their championship, the AA affiliate for the White Sox. So that's fun. Does that really mean anything? No, but at least people who are looking and trying to be optimistic and positive for the future of the White Sox. We got some guys there that might be good. It's just up and down the roster. I can think of a couple guys that might, be here when the Sox start to become good again. I think Corey Lee, their catcher, is a solid player. Does Vaughn stick around? I think he's solid enough for the White Sox, and he's an okay defensive. You don't dislike that Andrew Vaughn's on your team, but Luis Robert Jr., what's his story? He's definitely had a bit of a resurgence, like a couple of these players have. It's going to sound wild, in the second half of the second half, but the last month or so, his average has been going up. It was dipping below 200 for a bit. He's at 226 now. Benintendi, for the most part, he's been okay. But you traded Eric Fetty. He was your number one guy behind Crochet. Well, Crochet was the number one guy, but in terms of wins above replacement and all that. Chris Flexen's not doing much. You can't look up and down. Obviously, they've lost 120 games, right? So you can't look up and down this roster and be like, oh, I'm going to keep this guy, I'm going to keep this guy, I'm going to keep this guy. I think all hands are on deck in terms of what you want to get rid of and how do you build this team. And that's kind of the problem for Chris Getz, and the solution is going to be tough to find. But some good news to kind of end it. Steve Stone did announce that he's going to be calling games for a couple more years with them. I like Steve Stone. I think he adds a very calm demeanor to a broadcast that is kind of rough around the edges sometimes, especially when you're watching a team like that. And with Chicago Sportsnet going away, at least it's good to know that he's going to stick around. And I hope they're able to keep the post-game guys as well, because they've been a treat to watch as well, as I kind of highlighted them a bit in my lead into this segment. You can't get much worse, right? Obviously, if they lose a game, they're considered the worst team in Major League history in a 162 game season. I don't think they're going to sweep the Tigers in Detroit, especially with the momentum that the Tigers have right now. But what a story that would be, and what a nice, little ending to this horrific season that the White Sox have had. I hope they're able to turn it around. They got a lot of work to do, and it's not going to be quick. If it ends up working out, baseball, nothing's guaranteed. But you hope for the best, and you give it the old college try, right? But anyways, next, I want to go with Derrick Rose, one of my favorites of all time. We're going to talk a little bit about Derrick Rose and his announcement to retire. And this is Modaff Minute. Thomas Modaff. We'll be right back.
This is your home for sports. Red left. SportsTownChicago.com.
Take that exit and get to the Southern Cafe, home of the Nasty Biscuit on Roselle Road in Roselle. Get over there and try the chicken fried chicken biscuit made with the Southern Cafe's house-made drop biscuit with buttermilk chicken fried chicken smothered in country gravy, topped with shredded cheddar and crumbled hickory smoked bacon. I always say that when you go to the Southern Cafe, you come out with 2 meals with the heaping amounts of food they serve you in every meal. I love to go to a place with outdoor seating. The Southern Cafe has a great outdoor seating area to help social distance, and I get to enjoy my breakfast outdoors. Open 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. to give you plenty of time to grab an amazing breakfast or lunch. Now get your butt over to the Southern Cafe on Roselle Road.
Hello?
It's speed walking day.
Dorothy? You're breaking up.
Did I mention we'd be slowing down when we pass the court where those fine brothers play ball?
I heard that.
Reduce your risk of cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. Get active, eat right, and maybe even run into Mr. Right. Isn't sisterhood beautiful? For more information, go to everydaychoices.org. Brought to you by the American Cancer Society, the American Diabetes Association, the American Heart Association, the Ad Council, and this station.
Alert! Alert! Be gone, maxed out credit cards, overdue loans, suffocating interest rates, and relentless collection agencies. If your credit rating is making you and others around you cringe, there's only one thing to do, and that's to turn to the professionals at Creative Credit Solutions. Even if your credit is less than perfect, we'll help you get back on track. You can do it, and we can help. Call today or visit creativecreditsolutions.net for your free credit check report.
Blow the whistle on SportsTownChicago.com. Mondays and Fridays from 2 to 3 p.m. as we talk NFL.
The game plan was really sound.
In the quarterback league. It has been. It still is.
Franchise-defining quarterbacks.
College football.
Will Jim Harbaugh make it through the season as Michigan's head coach?
Some more Big Ten talk.
And here's some things you wouldn't expect.
I would have never expected that.
Get all of that and more on Blow the Whistle on SportsTownChicago.com.
Back to your home for sports. SportsTownChicago.com. Scoreboard update.
At 5:32, I'm Thomas Modaff with your SportsTownChicago.com update, powered by the Illinois Media School. If interested in a career in media, go to beonair.com. And Derrick Rose, one of the greatest to ever put on a uniform for any team in Chicago, did announce his retirement today. Rookie of the Year, 3-time All-Star, and the youngest MVP in league history. The White Sox closed their series with the Angels today, a 7-0 win in a sweep. History was put on hold for the Sox, but was made for the 2024 Angels, as they now hold their all-time franchise record for losses in a single season. Sox begin their final series of the year at Detroit, starting at 5:40. Tigers have been the best team in the American League in the second half and are right in the mix for a playoff spot. Cubs are off today after their 9-6 loss to the Phillies. Nico Horner did homer twice in that contest. They've clinched a non-losing season, no playoff appearance for the second year in a row, something they have not done since the early 70s. They'll begin their final series of the year at home against the Reds at 1:20. After a tough loss to the Colts, the 1-2 Bears host the LA Rams this Sunday at noon. Caleb Williams had arguably his best game as a pro. Short career, but best game as a pro with a first touchdown throw to fellow rookie Rome Odunze, who had 110 yards on the day. Matt Eberflus was a little critical of Williams' aggressiveness, saying he's got to have some wisdom there and discernment in terms of when he makes those throws. You never want to take away his aggressiveness, but he has to be really good with the football. And hockey is finally back in Chicago. Began their preseason play against Detroit yesterday, losing 4-2. Teuvo Teravainen had a goal in his return to the Blackhawks. This has been your SportsTownChicago.com update, brought to you by the Illinois Media School. If interested in a career in media, go to beonair.com.
In the 2008 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Derrick Rose from the University of Memphis.
I play with my heart. I'm playing on the highest basketball level in my hometown.
36 points and 11 assists for Derrick Rose in about as good a rookie playoff debut as you will ever see.
Whoa! Stop it! Stop it! Do not do him like that!
the memo. Derrick Rose can go upstairs.
Why not? Why can't I be the MVP of the league? Why can't I be the best player in the league? I don't see why. Why?
I'm gonna thank my mom. Think about her when she had to wake me up, go to work, just making sure that I'm all right and making sure the family is all right. Those are hard days. My days shouldn't be hard because I love doing what I'm doing, and that's playing basketball.
What a move by Rose. Oh! Yes, and it counts.
Fade away.
Let me step back and kiss myself. MVP time.
Rose trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over. The Bulls win at the buzzer.
It still is a madhouse on Madison as Derrick Rose nails the three. And the Bulls take a 2.
Modaff Minute, Sportstown Chicago. This is Thomas Modaff. Man, what's got me emotional? Before I keep going, that was brought to you by the great media team at Chicago Bulls. Their YouTube page, they put out that nice little video. I liked the audio a lot, so just wanted to play it. So that was them. It wasn't me. That was courtesy of Chicago Bulls YouTube page. Yeah, what can you say about Derrick Rose? I mean, if you grew up around the city or in the city or anything, he was kind of your guy, right? Obviously, with Michael Jordan, but I wasn't around to see Michael Jordan. So Derrick Rose was my guy. I think he was a lot of people's guy. And just a kid from Chicago, being able to join the Bulls and just, save a franchise that was kind of in no man's land. They were really bad before he got there, and they were just okay. They were getting there, but he was kind of the missing piece, right? Obviously, everyone kind of knows how it went down. Injuries kind of derailed his career, but he was always giving you 110%. He was one of the best point guards at that time, maybe the best, and was probably going to be one of the best ever if injuries didn't kind of take over. But those first couple seasons in Chicago were special. And gosh, yeah, I'm just honestly getting emotional thinking about it. But just when he was drafted, I think I was 9 or 10. I didn't really watch sports. I wasn't into sports at the time. Obviously, I kind of watched the Cubs every now and then, and maybe a Blackhawks game or two, because that's when the Hawks were also kind of starting to get good. But that playoff series in his rookie year against the Celtics, I mean, even as just a basketball fan, you got to say one of the more incredible playoff series to occur, especially even in the first round. The Bulls gave the Celtics all they could take. I think it was 7 overtimes over the course of 7 games. I think also back to a couple players on that team. Joakim Noah was also kind of coming into his own. He had that steal, breakaway dunk where he took it across the floor, man, I mean, it was just unbelievable to watch. And I actually was so new to sports at the time that I had this old laptop, and I had these like widgets that you could install on it, and it would show like sports scores, right? And so I opened it up, and it was a really slow laptop, so it was opening up real slow. And then I saw that the Bulls had won game 1 by 2 points, and at the time I thought that meant they won the series. I didn't know it was a 7-game series, so I was like freaking out to my dad. I was like, "Oh, the Bulls won! The Bulls won!" He's like, "Oh, that's just game 1." It's going to be a crazy series, and that kind of kickstarted it for me in terms of my, hobby and my love for sports. And, Derrick Rose was kind of the center of that. And, also with injuries, but the unfortunate part, you had to deal with prime LeBron James and that Heat squad, and just, that 2011 team though was something else. 62-20. Corver, gosh, Luol Deng. I think Boozer was on the team at that time. But the guys from like 2008, who that rookie year of Derrick Rose, like Ben Gordon, you wish he might have stayed around, but Taj Gibson was on that 2011 team. Ronnie Brewer, I think. So yeah, it was just, obviously, I think it touched the basketball world, and he's going to be a guy that people talk about forever. He was, the best player that I've ever seen in a Bulls uniform, and probably the best I'll ever see in it for a very long time. It kind of shocked me. I think it shocked a lot of people, but he was getting older. I think he was 15, seasons in the NBA, and a solid piece on the Knicks squad, and he was in Detroit for a bit, and I believe he almost won Most Improved Player the year. I mean, he got some votes, but just to see him persevere and just keep it up after just devastating injuries, and just it's inspiring. And again, Chicago kid, he was the man, and I think everyone's going to point to obviously a lot of his Bulls career, but that 50-point game, I think the entire NBA world loved it. I know Bulls fans especially loved it. His 50-point game in Minnesota. That interview that he had, again, just thinking about it, it's getting me emotional. But yeah, that interview he had where he starts crying, and it's just you knew what it meant to him, and you knew what it meant to the city. And so I 100% believe that they will retire his jersey. If they don't, it's a disservice to him and what he did. Maybe a hot take, but I think he should be in the Hall of Fame as well, being the youngest MVP, and just what he did with the Bulls, those first couple seasons. He was just phenomenal. And again, as I continue to talk about, how sports are, it's bigger than sports and all that. It is for a lot of people, and for me especially. It kind of hit me harder than maybe I thought it would. And I was on Instagram, seeing people, a bunch of my friends and just everyone kind of showing him love. Windy City Assassin, an awesome nickname. D Rose, just he was the man. Unfortunately, couldn't get over the hump, but that 2011 team, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals and winning Game 1, and I really thought, like, holy smokes, they might do it. But that dang Miami Heat team was just a little too strong year in and year out. But I'm just gonna open up this roster here real quick and again just look at some of the stuff that Rose did. Just all-star appearances 3 years in a row. I think people remember that. The All-Star introduction where they all came out dancing and Rose is just standing there like this with that, stoic look on his face. He was one of a kind dude. And last thing before, we kind of wrap this up. And I just wanted to take some time to kind of give him his flowers, no pun intended, but he was, what he meant to the city and what he meant to the NBA, I think can't be overstated. But just to see him, obviously, young guy who's drafted at 20 years old. And he just, he was kind of a quiet dude. And I would say he's probably still more of a reserved guy, but just through his career to kind of see him be a little more outspoken and be, kind of a mentor towards younger guys, it was just cool to see him grow too, as a fan and just as a human. And he would show you flashes every now and you just think, what if, right? What if those things didn't happen? But just an explosive player, year in and year out for the Bulls when he was able to give it, just one of the best to put on that uniform, not only for the Bulls but, like I said, for the city of Chicago. And everyone's giving him his flowers, and I'm really happy for that. And so that's that's kind of just where I wanted to go with that. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that he's going to be missed, but wish him the best in his retirement. Again, he was the guy who got me into sports, and it was at a good time too. The Blackhawks were kind of starting to get really strong as well, and so that was just a fun time, in Chicago sports. Cubs started to go down, and the White Sox were kind of hovering around, but the Bulls and Blackhawks around that time were a lot of fun to watch, and Derrick Rose was a giant reason for that. So thank you, Derrick, seriously, and just wish him all the best. And yep, you know what time it is. It is Thursday. We get the pleasure of having our show on a Thursday, so we get to kick off the NFL week 4 coming up. I have a lot of fun things to talk about and just my couple predictions, and we'll see where the Bears are also going to hold up against the Rams. Again, this is Modaff Minute. Thomas Modaff, Sportstown Chicago.
This is your home for sports.
Longtime fan.
Sports is like life. SportsTownChicago.com.
What's up, Chicago? If you're ever, and I mean ever, out looking for good urban food 24/7, come down to White Palace Grill, located 1159 South Canal Street in Chicago. White Palace Grill is open 365 days a year since 1939. I personally love the steak and egg dinner, but whether you like burgers for breakfast, steak for lunch, or French toast for dinner, White Palace is the place for you. The diner is a 24-hour urban oasis. Come now, come later. Hey, come now and later. We never close at White Palace Grill, located 1159 South Canal Street in Chicago. Visit us at whitepalace.com or order with Uber Eats or Grubhub anytime, any day.
Daddy, when you look at me, I could see your wheels turning. About what am I going to be when I grow up? A major league first baseman? Maybe a point guard for a national champion.
The odds of a child becoming a professional athlete are 1 in 16,000. Far-fetched? Maybe. But did you know the odds of a child being diagnosed with autism are 1 in 166? That's right, 1 in 166. To learn the signs of autism, go to autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Go to Lux Barbershop for the best barbers and stylists in Plainfield, Illinois. I go there when I have an important event, date, or I just want to look good. The straight razor shave will have you looking fresh and smooth. Lux Barbershop is open 7 days a week. Go to Lux Barbershop for the finest barbers, stylists, braiders, and massage therapists in the southern suburbs. Check out all their daily deals on Facebook, Instagram, and luxbarbershop.com.
Hi, this is Joe Perry and Steven Tyler of Aerosmith for Red. You know, it's okay to rock and roll and party down. Just don't get in that 2,000-pound bullet when you're done and cocked. And please don't drink and drive. I'm the one that jaded you.
A reminder that friends don't let friends drive drunk. A public service message brought to you by the Ad Council, U.S. Department of Transportation, National Association of Broadcasters, and RAD.
The Chicago Dogs are back on SportsTownChicago.com. Tune in to the season opener against the Sioux City Explorers, Friday, May 28th at Impact Field in Rosemont. First pitch at 7:05 p.m. Hear all the action right here on SportsTownChicago.com.
What is it with football? Everywhere you go, football! Go there, football!
Football.
Yes. Modaff Minute back with you. It's Thomas Modaff. Yeah, it's football time, baby. Week 4. It's going by fast. Whether we want it to or not, I suppose. But, all right. I wasn't great last week. I was 3 for 3. Or 3 and 3. Excuse me. I did get the Commanders game right against the Bengals. And Jaden Daniels did ball out. So I will take my flowers for that one. Obviously, I got the Bears game wrong. I think a lot of us did. I think we assumed that would kind of go a different way. But we're not talking about the Bears right now. We'll get to them at the end. But yeah, Thursday night football, starting off week 4. We got the Cowboys at New York against the Giants. A little NFC East matchup. Back in the day, I think I would have said this is a gimme for the Cowboys, and honestly, it's probably still going to be. I think maybe Daniel Jones pulls a little rabbit out of his hat. Their running game isn't bad. And I think, the Cowboys' defensive line struggles a bit with the run. If they're able to establish something and then open up that passing game a little bit, then maybe the Giants pull something out. But I think the Cowboys win this one. It'll be their 7th straight win against the Giants, going back a couple of years. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game, though. I don't think it's going to be an enjoyable watch. It's going to be a classic, modern Thursday night football game where, Al Michaels is kind of scratching his head as we go. But I do think the Cowboys get this one, and they'll improve to 2-2. But there's nothing, quite like Cowboys fans, and now their team is the worst thing in the world. I don't think they're terrible. You got guys like Parsons. Who can stop that who could stop that run game, right? But as of right now, the Cowboys have a pretty poor run defense. But again, it's early. We'll see how it goes. But I think the Cowboys win that one. For me, again, we always do this kind of at the end of the week here, or the end of the show, excuse me. We want 3 games I'll watch, and then we'll talk about the Bears as well. We're going to get a little crazy here, okay? Bengals, Panthers. Now, stay with me here. Andy Dalton is going to be starting for the Panthers. It's going to be in Carolina, but I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals are going to start 0-4, and the Carolina Panthers somehow are going to start 2-2 with Andy Dalton slinging that thing around. They're not rejuvenated by any means. They're not a restored franchise or anything like that. But when Andy Dalton, for some reason, he's just one of those guys that I think I can rally around, and a bunch of people rally around. They're just like, oh, Andy Dalton's playing football again, and he just does Andy Dalton things. And I think the Bengals just aren't. I don't think they're as bad as people think. I don't think an 0-3 record really describes them. But again, it's an offensive line issue. It's been an offensive line issue for the Bengals for a long time. It wasn't addressed once again. Joe Burrow's still pretty dang good, obviously. But there's just something different about the Bengals team, and especially this year. And I think Carolina gets a gutsy win. I think they do. I don't think they're going to win many other games, but this one it feels like the dominoes are going to fall at the right time for the Panthers, and Andy Dalton going to get a big win against his former team. So book it. I'm going with the Commanders game again, the Commanders and the Cardinals. Now, for all the sports memes fans out there, Call of Duty is not out yet, so Kyler Murray is still going to play good football. Once that game comes out, he's a big Call of Duty fan. He'll probably start playing poorly. But right now, he's playing pretty well for the most part. Wasn't able to get that win against the Lions, but him and Marvin Harrison Jr. have been a great connection. But I'm telling you, Jane Daniels, he's looking like the man, and it's a situation where I'm not even going to talk about the nutheads who are saying like, well, should the Bears really have gotten Caleb Williams? And this, look, it's week 4. Obviously I'm sitting here with a mic too, talking about sports, but look, I'm not that crazy. All right. The Bears did the right thing. They're going to figure it out. It's not really Caleb Williams' fault. Anyways, I think Jaden Daniels is a dog. He's going to be great. I think they win again. And the Commanders don't really have an offensive line either. I'm not going to say it's as bad as the Bears, but a couple plays where when the offensive line did hold up and Daniels was able to just lay in that pocket, he made some deep throws, and I think Williams can do that as well. But I think the Commanders win. I think it's going to be a bit of a shootout, but I think the Commanders get another win, and they're going to be a fun team to watch. Arizona, I think, is going to kind of tread water most of the year. Again, especially when Call of Duty comes out. But I think Jaden Daniels wins that one. I picked this one. I think it was a gimme in terms of, you look at the schedule and this is one that you're going to turn your head towards. Chiefs and Chargers. Now, the game isn't probably going to be as hyped as we pictured because Joe Alt, he's out for the Chargers, the rookie tackle. He's been really strong. And Justin Herbert, I actually need to see this. Looks like, so he's a limited participant in practice. Obviously, if Justin Herbert plays, it's going to be a better game. It just is. With Harbaugh kind of coming back, 2 legendary coaches reading Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh's gotten off to a decent start with the Chargers, obviously. You can just kind of depend on him to kind of be in it most of the time. But I think the Chiefs, again, are going to pull out a win, and it's been close for them, but they're 3-0, and that's just what good football teams do. They find ways to win games like that, like they have in the past couple of weeks. I think the Chiefs start 4-0. It's could be a big win for the first time in the year, but if Justin Herbert doesn't play, I think it's just going to be kind of a tough break for the Chargers. But Chiefs start 4-0. Who would have thunk, right? All right, let's talk about the Bears. As much as I sometimes don't really want to, but look, that was an embarrassing game. Kind of for certain reasons in Indianapolis, and it was a game the Bears should have won, but now again we're going back and we're saying, oh, should the Bears have drafted somebody else? Should they have done this? Blah 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 blah. No, it's just the same issues that I think weren't addressed as well as they just weren't addressed. Matt Eberflus is not really a head coach for football. I think he's a good defensive schemer. I think he could be a good defensive coordinator, and I mean he does call the defensive plays and sets for the Bears. I think he does a well enough job at that, but he just looks lost out there. There's certain decisions and the run sideways on 4th and inches at the goal line was just ridiculous. And there are clips of the entire offensive line getting beat immediately, but Shane Waldron's gotta think a little harder. Matt Eberflus said that he had spoke to him about it, and that coverage, that lineup just wasn't great in that situation. No kidding. It's a non-existent run game for the Bears. DeAndre Swift, it's still kind of a head scratcher signing, especially when the guys you already had in the backfield for the Bears. He's had his lowest, yards per carry by far. Again, still only week 4, but it might not be a Swift problem. That might be a Bears scheming problem. Obviously, and the one that you can point fingers at, the center and the offensive line. And when they've given Williams some time and some protection, he had some great throws, some silly decisions, some rookie decisions, but I don't think he's the problem exactly. Again, I think it's just too quick to write a guy off that fast. And, people saying, oh, we should have kept Justin Fields. Justin Fields is playing the same game he is when he was here, just in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh just coaches better, so I think we see the problem here. I think a lot of Bears fans see the problem, and the NFL world sees the problems, is that it's a coaching problem. For the Bears, it is. And obviously players got to show up and they got to play, but it's a coaching problem. And, despite all that, Keenan Allen's going to be back. I think the Bears, squeak this one out at home to move to 2-2. If not, it's going to be another one of those instances where we're just, slamming our head into the table. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? It's just, stuff hasn't changed. And I think we know the reason why it hasn't changed. But I think the Bears get the win. Ugly game. It's not going to be a good win. Might be another kind of Titans situation, not where we come back, but just one of those things where it's like, man, we probably shouldn't have won this game, but we did. And they'll move to 2-2, and they'll continue on with their business. But I think Caleb Williams is just going to get better as he goes. But you got to have some protection for the guy, and you got to have some sort of system in place, because the current coaching system is not working. And it would be terrible to have to get rid of Shane Waldron and have another second-year quarterback with the Bears have to learn a whole new scheme. But they just got to figure something out, man, because at this point I'm at a loss for words, even though I just spoke for an hour. But that's it. That's it for me. Modaff Minute. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Sportstown Chicago and sportstownchicago.com. I'm Thomas Modaff. This has been a pleasure. Again, we hope for Bears win. Go Tigers, I guess. I won't say that too loud, but go Tigers. And if not, let's see if the White Sox can not become the worst team ever. They're already basically there, but one more loss would cement them. But thank you so much for listening, guys. Same time next week. Have a good one.
It's the best fans in the world. No better team. SportsTownChicago.com.
Are you ready for this? Valley View Automotive has all of the hottest SUVs you've been looking for. Enjoy a test drive and the opportunity to drive one of these powerful vehicles off the lot for half the price. Yes, half the price. Now's the time to get yourself to Valley View by car, on foot, or even by air to take advantage of this outrageous sale. You better get here quickly, because this promotion is only going on for 24 hours, and the automobiles are leaving the lot faster than you can say four-wheel drive. Valley View Automotive, a dealership you can depend on.
Hey, I'm Andy Griggs, asking you to help prevent domestic violence. Domestic violence isn't a woman's issue. It hurts all of us. Women are injured and killed every day by their husbands and boyfriends. So it's time for men to take action right now to teach boys that violence against women is wrong, to help prevent abuse before it starts. Call the Family Violence Prevention Fund at 1-800-END-ABUSE to get a free Take Action kit containing tips on what to say to boys. That's 1-800-END-ABUSE. Teach early.
Indeed is the #1 job search user with over 250 million monthly users. Indeed's priority is to help everyone in the job searching process to find a job by uploading 10 new job opportunities every 10 seconds worldwide. With Indeed, you have free access to job searches, resume uploads, and company researches. There are over 10,000 employees at Indeed that pursue to help people find the job they are looking for. They connect with millions of people to new opportunities. Go to Indeed.com and sign up for free and create a resume and let Indeed do the rest to help you on your job search.
Hey, I'm Jesus Mauricio. Be sure to tune in every Friday to listen to Zeus Off the Bat, a baseball talk show from 1 to 2 p.m. where I'll be discussing and updating you on all things about baseball. News, predictions, reactions, and more about the Cubs, Sox, and everything across the league. Happens every Friday at 1 p.m. right here on SportsTownChicago.com. Don't forget to follow and share our Twitter and Instagram with your friends at Zeus Off the Bat. Zeus Off the Bat.